let's talk Nintendo Directs. It's June, so normally around this time, all the big gaming companies come out to show off their big new and upcoming games. Now they do it through live streams as their own thing, but they used to do it through E3. Of course, that's no longer a thing, which sucks, but I just wanted to talk about not E3. I want to talk about Nintendo Directs a bit because, you know, 'tis the season, and also I'm feeling a little bit nostalgic over the over Directs a little bit, just because they've been airing for a long time and I've been watching them for a minute. Now, let me get this out of the way. So before 2015, I wasn't watching Directs. So I'm probably going to be talking a lot about Directs from 2015 onwards, but I wasn't following gaming news or anything until 2015. So any notable Directs from 2014 or 2013 or whatever, I didn't see them, or I didn't see them at the time. So I'm not gonna really talk about much about them, but I wanted to first off kind of just talk about my favorite Directs. Of course, this is very subjective because it's really about what games you find the most hype. That's the cool thing about Directs. Super hype announcements that you didn't see coming, really cool games that you're really excited for. I'm sure I'm not the only one who's gone to YouTube and looked up Nintendo Direct reactions whenever I want to see how people reacted towards a certain game. I know I was doing that like crazy when Smash Ultimate was first revealed. It's just something fun about sharing the hype about a game, I guess. And speaking about that reveal, probably a cop-out answer considering it's me, but I don't care. March 8th of 2018, that Direct is easily my favorite Direct of all time. At the end of it, they revealed that Smash Ultimate was in development. We didn't know what the name was yet, but they just said Super Smash Bros. Is coming for the Switch that year, and the way they did it was beautiful because they just showed Inklings running around and stuff, and like you would think, oh, maybe they're showing off more Splatoon stuff, because right before they showed off the Octo expansion for Splatoon 2, maybe it's like a remake of Splatoon 1 or port of Splatoon 1, but then of course you see the Smash logo and the Inkling's eye, and oh dude, yeah, easily my favorite Direct. Other Directs I really liked, the February 2021 Direct, I don't remember what day. That Direct was hyped because of they revealed Splatoon 3. I really loved Splatoon 2. I think at that point I only had played Splatoon 2, not 1, because I didn't have a Wii U at that time. But I loved 2, and I just randomly out of nowhere thought like, oh, what if they just announced a new Splatoon game just right here and there? And they did, and I was so hyped for that. And the game looked really fun. Did it look similar to 2? Yeah, but I thought it was gonna be fine enough. 2 was similar to 1 in a lot of ways, but I thought the game was really fun. Obviously, it's a bit different coming from me because, you know, I didn't play Splatoon 1 before 2, but I'll admit, I like that. That was the same Direct that they announced, what was it, Fall Guys coming to the Switch, which was way too late because it got to the Switch, I think, a year after it launched on PC or something. But I prefer to play games on PC because it's hard to play games on my laptop. But I was like, oh, finally, this is gonna be so good. So I was hyped for that too, even though that ended up being the version I played the least, honestly. But that was a fun one. Another one I can think of off the top of my head was the E3 Direct from that same year. I remember getting super hyped for Mario Party Superstars, and they were just remaking, I guess, the old boards and a lot of the older mini games. I was like, oh, this looks really, really fun. Oh, this is going to be so good, especially since like Mario Party 2, it's not my favorite Mario Party game, but it's definitely up there. So I was like, oh, this is going to be so good. And they showed off gameplay for Tears of the Kingdom, which at the time I didn't really care for because I really wasn't a Zelda guy at all. But I'm glad I watched that because I ended up playing the game later and loving it. There are probably a couple of other Directs that I liked, but I know those 3 are probably my favorite. And it's kind of funny because they're all from the Switch era. And I kind of want to talk about a little bit about Directs now in comparison to back then a little bit. So I mentioned that I've been watching Directs since 2015. I think the first one I watched was, the first one of that year. Those Directs were definitely really cool to me at a younger age. And looking back at them now retroactively, it's kind of weird seeing how they weren't too different from what we have now, especially considering what the first few Directs were like. because I have seen a little bit of those, but like those 2015 and 2016 directs, I don't know. There was something about them. There was something about seeing Reggie and Bill, and of course Iwata presenting all these games, and a couple of the people from Nintendo Treehouse. There was something really nice about it. It just created like a nice little charm. They would have some skits in a few of the directs, or some silly asides in a few of them, depending on what games they were promoting. There's a micro direct where they were promoting Chibi Robo Siplash. There was also whenever they had the whole Yokai Watch thing, and Bill was eating a bunch of donuts, and Reggie was getting mad at him for eating the donuts. There was a direct, I think it was the same 3DS direct I was mentioning a minute ago, where Reggie was looking all over the place for his new 3DS, I think XL, the Cosmic covered one, and it had all of his like new games he was going to talk about or something. That was just to promote the new 3DS that they were coming out with. Yeah, some of the skits were dumb and childish and like just whatever, but like there was something about those directs that stood out a little bit to me, or I guess stand out now looking back at them. They were just trying to, I guess, be a little different, be a little creative, and I guess it didn't really matter back then what they really did, considering Nintendo was not doing well back then. The Wii U was not selling well at all. They were pretty much already trying to get the NX ready. They're like, I think it was in the 2015 direct, they're like, all right, Project NX is coming, just look out for news. So they were desperate, but like, even still, like just looking back to that era, there was just something about those directs that was just kind of charming in a way. And speaking of the E3 directs, there was usually a little bit more production value with those directs because they were centered around E3, and since they weren't doing traditional E3 showings, I think 2013 was the first time they stopped doing it. They kind of had special ones like the Robot Chicken themed one, or the puppet themed one. Like those were just so cool to me. And of course they weren't called directs. Like I think they were called like digital showcases or something. 2017 it was called like a Nintendo Spotlight, or I don't know. They were directs. They're directs. I am praising these directs a little bit, the older ones, but that's not to say that they were perfect. No, partly because of the skits and stuff they were doing, and because they had no games to show. They would spend too much time on some games and not enough time on others, and just presenting the games in general wasn't always great. Of course, there were some directs that were better than others, but like it was just kind of inconsistent. So as we go forward in time to the Switch era, they changed how the directs kind of worked a little bit. So here's a quick little snippet of the game we get to look forward to. Gameplay, random announcer talking about the game, move on. It felt way more streamlined. There's less, I guess, waiting time on just random games. We're not talking to random people. It felt way more streamlined now. And I gotta say, I'm so glad that they made that change years ago, because directs are way better because of it. Well, way better presented because of it. We get the news that we want, and they're easier, I guess, to put out on their YouTube channel, because I feel like that's something they've been focusing more on lately. But I will admit, there's not as much charm in these directs as the older ones. I don't know. I think it's probably because they got the format as down as they could. The directs feel a bit samey after, how long has it been? Like 5 years since they've been doing the current format, even longer. And I'm sure some of you are not going to agree with me, but I don't know. There's just something about how they did directs back then and how they do now that like you kind of miss seeing the host just goof off every now and again. Now they're starting to do that a little bit more now. There was a direct a couple years ago where they were just playing Nintendo Switch Sports in the middle of the direct. I mean, that was something. In my opinion, I think it was a little boring, but it was something. But looking back to last year, 2023, there was a direct when they were talking about WarioWare Move It, and I think it was it Takahashi or Koizumi? I think it was Takahashi, who was just dancing around, just kind of goofing off. Stuff like that. I love seeing stuff like that. So hopefully they'll do more stuff like that in the future in directs, and kind of change things up a little bit as we move on to the next era. I will say the biggest thing that I do kind of miss from the older directs, it kind of stinks not having Iwata in these directs. Obviously, I wasn't watching directs at an early enough time to really feel super reminiscent, but the first few directs I ever watched, Iwata was there and he was presenting stuff directly to us. So I do miss that aspect of directs. and it kind of stinks that he's no longer with us to do that. I will admit, directs have been a little more lame in the past couple of years for me, and they haven't been as fun to react to as years prior to that. But still, directs, they're fun because like you never know what you're gonna get. Just random games could really hype you up, and they make for really fun reactions, and it's fun to just come together as Nintendo fans and just get excited over them. And it's kind of funny seeing PlayStation and Xbox finally start to do this format a few years ago. Even if I don't love the current format of directs, I still feel like they nail it more times than the other two companies. So, okay, I'm done talking, but is there a favorite Nintendo Direct that you remember, or a favorite game that you're really hyped for that was announced in a Direct, or... Oh no, let me know. Okay, I'm gonna head out. Later.